just going to go through the top of the shelf quickly as we usually do. The globe that we've been using is from Dollar Tree. This is an emergent reader on the days of creation, and we just made these as we went along during the week. This is from kindercraze.blogspot.com. Some of the books here on the top of the shelf that we've been going through, so water and a few on weather. These rain stick jars that we DIY'd a while back, but we pulled them back out since we were learning a little bit about weather this week as well. Here we have some weather 3-part cards, and then along with weather, we also learned about the seasons, the weather in the different seasons. So, and these are just some cards that I made myself. Again, a few other books that we read on weather, and then these weather posters are from Dollar Tree. Great posters there. And then this, we care for God's creation, since we did tie this all together for Earth Day week. And this is from www.christianpreschoolprintables.com. So my equipment is sort of in the funks at the moment. My tripod is broken, my camera is not functioning properly, so I have replaced my equipment with a new camera and a new tripod, but I'm still learning and figuring out how to use the settings on the camera and with the tripod. So for now, we're just going to do this the laid back way, and I'm just going to go ahead and hold my camera, just going through the shelf. I'm pulling out the trays and just showing more or less how we're using them. So again, just more of a laid back video. All right, so our first shelf here, let's start off with this mat that you see in the back here. And this is just a DIY mat that I made. It's 2 of the same landscape picture, and then I just glued that on poster board. So I made a bigger sized mat that way. And this we used with some materials that we have here. So we used with our animals, and this was to sort air, land, or water animals. And we have several different animals here. So a zebra would be a land animal. A sea otter would be a water animal. And a bee would be an air animal. In front of that, we have this tray, and this has individual mats, and we have again a water mat, a land mat, and an air mat, and these were used for several different activities. All right, and these mats were used to introduce that Montessori lesson on air, land, and water, and that is a Montessori geography lesson that is usually for the preschool age. If you do want to look into that lesson, there are plenty of resources online and here on YouTube for that. So we use these with our air, land, and water jars. These labels are a free printable, and that'll be linked down below. Those are bilingual labels. So this jar represents air, sand in this jar represents land, and then water with blue dye or food coloring represents the water. And then we also have these labels here, which we used to label our mats here. So the first way that we use these mats was to sort our transportation. So a hot air balloon is an air transportation. A rocket ship is an air transportation. A tractor is on land, and so is a motorcycle. A cruise ship is a water transportation. Land mat also doubled up as a days of creation activity, and that was for day 3 when God created the plants and the vegetation on land. And with that, we used these number tiles from our Montessori hundreds board, and so Bella was to pull a number, and we have a basket here with a few different materials, and one of those being Play-Doh. So depending on the number that Bella pulled, she was to plant that amount of trees, and we used the Play-Doh as a base. And then here in this tray, we have these tree images that I printed and laminated, and then she was to plant. And we went up to number 20. All right, we also used the water mat from this trio of mats that I have here for day 2 of creation, and that was the day that God created the sky and the water. And with that, we use our flashcards, our number flashcards from Bitty Beginnings. And these are numbers 1 through 20, I believe. So we used that. We used this fine motor tool, and this is from Learning Resources. And then we also used these blue gems from Dollar Tree. It is just to add the water, the corresponding amount of water droplets according to that flashcard. So in this case. All right, and then the second shelf, again, we have that basket with those materials that we use for several activities. And then we have a day 4 of creation, when God created the sun, moon, and the stars. And again, this is just another math tray. Same concept, a 1-to-1 and counting, number recognition. This is a number 12, and she is to place 12 stars in the galaxy. And she can very well use one of the fine motor tools that we have in our basket, or just use her hand here. This tray here is a air, land, and water, and this is from a Melissa and Doug sticker book. My kids love these sticker books. And again, this was just to support that lesson. So just a fun sticker activity there. And of course, sticker peeling is great for fine motor. All right, so that was one shelf, and moving right along here to the shelf next to that, here we have another activity that represented day 4, and these are the constellations. And this is just a fine motor activity and a pre-writing, so like a pencil grasp type of practice here. And Bella's done this before with the 7 continents. So here she is just to go ahead and poke holes in the constellations. And we briefly discussed what constellations are. We'll be getting into more detail when our space unit comes around in the new school year. But yeah, she really does enjoy this type of poking activity. We have a simple transportation puzzle, and this was mainly for Noah and Luna. Again, just the matching from one picture to another. So here, bus to bus. Of course, puzzles are great for that wrist rotation, for logic, for problem solving. And then we just discussed each transportation. So the bus goes on land, the ship is for water. So pretty easy there. Here we have our worksheet tray, and we are currently on day 6. So yesterday was day 5. This is a printable from MaryMarthaMama.com, and it's again a 1 through 7 days of creations printable. So it has a verse and then a small little activity to do here, along with the digit and number tracing up on top. So again, we have 6 and 7. And on day 7, we're going to just trace and color this. And again, this is how I'm tying in the days of creation with Earth Day week on, you know, how we should care for Mother Earth, because it is a creation that God made, or God created for us. It's a recycle activity kit from Dollar Tree, and this is sorting. This is pretty neat. So you get 4 mats here of different cans, and then you get plenty of stickers to sort. So aluminum, plastic, compost, trash, paper, and cardboard. So this will be something that we do on Sunday, on Earth Day, once we've completed our 7 days of creation. A multi-tray. There are several activities here. So the first here is a pre-writing practice for Noah. And here he is just to draw a line matching the animal to its corresponding air, land, or water. So a bird, a hummingbird, flies in the air. A starfish lives in the water. So again, this is just with a dry erase marker, since this is in a dry erase pocket. And then here, this was to go with, again, the day of creation 2, when God created land and water. And they're going to just use another fine motor tool here. And we have a container here where they are to pick up a blue marble and place it on the dot. Since we are discussing weather this week, I also wanted to touch base on seasons. This is something that we did in the fall, but just reinforcing that, sort of like a review. So since weather does have to do with our seasons, so this printable here, it's a mat. We have a boy and a girl, and then we have different articles of clothing. And as we went through this season's book, we would dress the child accordingly. So when we reached the winter page in the book, we would go ahead and dress the children in the appropriate winter clothes. So here we have some pants, what looks like a heavy type of coal jacket with mittens, Here the girl has a scarf. He has a beanie, cold weather beanie, and some boots. And all right, so going along with that weather, we have weather 3-part cards, and these cards don't specify where this freebie printable is from, so that'll be linked down below. So you've seen me use 3-part cards plenty on my channel, and I even have a video explaining a 3-part card lesson. So that's what we did here. So we have the image with the picture and the title or the name, and then we are to match the picture without the name. So rainbow, rainy, and here is snowy. And then the last part to that is adding the label or the name. So Bella will match these here. And then something else that we did with the 3-part cards is we categorized them in the type of weather that we might see in seasons. Here are just season trees that I printed, I Googled. And then again, we just categorized. Snowy is likely to be seen during winter. All right, and then lastly here we have what might just be my favorite tray. This is just a tray summing up all these 7 days of creations. Now I did create these printables and the printables in here, and these objects are just things that I have had in my home. So this was made by me, but this idea, this concept, I did see it on a blog, and I don't know the blog off the top of my head, so I am going to link that down below. So the first idea here is to sequence these numbers in order. Representing the 7 days of creation. All right, and then once we did that, we labeled the 7 days of creations. And I'm sorry you can hear the kids in the background. They're all awake right now. Okay, so once we sequenced the numbers and then we labeled the numbers according to the days of creation, then we went through our tray here and we sorted the objects that represented those days. On day 7, God looked upon his creations and he said it was good, and he rested. And for that we have our earth that God created, representing the 7th day.